My daughter Sharon's husband Christopher suddenly said with a sly smile. I want to take this opportunity and discuss this with you. I had a DNA test taken because I thought she didn't look like me. And it turns out she's not my daughter. Christopher said so, pointing at my granddaughter Tiana, who was being held by Sharon. I made an eye contact with my husband Dylan while Christopher was unable to hide his smirk. I figured as much. I was disappointed, but anger quickly overtook me. So you've been cheating on me behind my back? You bastard! Were you having an affair with one of the fathers who picks up their kids from daycare? His raised voice caught the attention of those around us. I felt truly sorry. I still wanted to believe in him. A woman like this is totally untrustworthy. Divorce. I want a divorce. Sharon seemed unable to comprehend Christopher's sudden change. Tiana, sensing something was wrong, started crying, and her cries echoing around us. I couldn't believe he was this kind of person. I felt an anger towards him like I had never felt before for neglecting my daughter. Looking over at Dylan, I saw him with an angry expression, fists clenched. This was our only chance. I exchanged glances with Dylan, then took out a photo we had prepared in advance. This photo was our trump card. With hands trembling with anger, I held up the photo in front of Christopher. My name is Violet. I'm a 55-year-old housewife. I live a commonplace life, but I cherish the certain happiness I feel and value the peaceful family life I have. My family consists of my husband Dylan, who currently works at a travel agency, my daughter Sharon, a nursery teacher, and my granddaughter Tiana. We are a family of 4. Until recently, Christopher, Sharon's husband, who's also an assistant director who works at a TV station, lived with us. When he was still in this house, I never dreamed we would end up living separately. Our current life goes back to when I met Dylan. Meeting Dylan was a story from decades ago. Back then, it was common for our marriages to be arranged by our parents. He was 5 years older, in the prime of his career at a travel agency. He had a manly and serious look about him, which left a good impression on me. Due to his job, he was knowledgeable about geography all over the world. I remember him talking excitedly about the charms of various tourist destinations over dinner. Holding a glass of beer in his hand, he said with enthusiasm, "My favorite place is definitely the pyramids of Egypt. It's what I recommend most to customers. The pyramids, made of limestone, used to shine white, reflecting the sun when they were first built." His carefree smile, like a little boy, stirred something in my heart. Seeing him like that, I wanted to sit next to him and hear more. "I would love for you to take me to your recommended places, Dylan." To that he responded with a smile. "Leave it to me." That's how we hit it off, starting a relationship with marriage in mind. Dylan was busy with work, but he always made time for me. His experience in a travel agency showed in how perfectly he planned our dates and trips. I wanted to walk through life with this man. After a few months of dating, I was convinced that we could make a married life work. "Please marry me. I want to see the pyramids with you on our honeymoon." It was an unplanned proposal. He stared at me wide-eyed for a few seconds, then broke into a broad smile. "Of course. Thank you." "Really? I'm sorry I made you say it." Thus, having confirmed our feelings for each other, we officially pledged our love at our wedding a few months later. True to our promise, we went to Egypt to see the pyramids on our honeymoon. That scenery will never fade in my mind, even after many years. In the midst of what could be called the pinnacle of happiness, our daughter Sharon was born. Life with a child passed surprisingly quickly, and before we knew it, Sharon had grown up and become a respectable nursery teacher. Sharon, who always loved children, seemed fulfilled, even though she was often busy with the kids at the nursery. Through her work, she started talking about wanting to get married and have her own children. She came to me for advice when she was 26. "Mom, do you remember Nicola from my university? I talked to her about getting married, and she invited me to a party. I'm not sure if I should go or not." Seeing my daughter seemingly exhausted from thinking about marriage and kids, I decided to give her a push. Well, isn't this a chance? You can trust an invitation from Nicola. Why not just go and see? Sharon looked somewhat anxious, but eventually decided to go. And so the day of the party came. Sharon left the house wearing fancier clothes than usual. Her makeup, different from her normal style, seemed to be done with extra effort. Dylan and I had dinner alone for the first time in a while. As we ate, Dylan seemed restless. What's wrong? Wasn't the dinner good? I asked half-jokingly, and Dylan replied awkwardly. Of course not. I'm just a bit worried about Sharon. I hope she doesn't get deceived by some strange guy. I felt the same way. After all, I was the one who had encouraged Sharon to go. I guess so. But it's Sharon, she'll be fine. She has a good eye for men. After all, she takes after me in that regard. I guess you're right. I think we both were trying to mask our anxiety with laughter. Then, a few hours later, Sharon returned. When I asked how it went, Sharon said with a smile. There was a great guy there. A really great guy. And she kept repeating how he was a good person. Whether it was from the cold air of January or the excitement of finding someone, her cheeks were flushed. What kind of person is he? Dylan asked, and to that Sharon proudly replied. He's part of a TV crew. His name is Christopher. He goes on location shoots and visits all sorts of places. I went on many trips with you too, right? So, we hit it off. Upon hearing this, Dylan frowned slightly. A TV crew, so he's in the entertainment industry, right? I don't have a very good impression of that. How should I put it? Didn't he look a bit frivolous? But you're the one who said, men who travel to different places and see various sceneries are trustworthy. He had black hair and didn't look frivolous at all. Well, I did say that, but... I calmed down Dylan, who didn't seem convinced, and told Sharon. Anyway, make sure you date him properly and take your time to find out what kind of person he is. It's late now. You have work tomorrow, right? I urged Sharon, who seemed quite drunk, to go to bed. After that, Sharon and Christopher officially started dating. Their relationship seemed to be going well, and Sharon introduced Christopher to me and Dylan. Christopher, being in the entertainment industry, initially seemed elusive. But after talking to him, he turned out to be very personable. So when they brought up marriage, I genuinely agreed. The best thing is to respect Sharon's choice. Thus, they continued their relationship smoothly and got married 2 years after meeting. Christopher, wearing an undoubtedly expensive suit, came to greet us formally. He held a bottle of high-end wine in his hand. I was genuinely happy for Sharon's marriage. Sharon's face, brimming with happiness, made it clear she was at the peak of her joy. Thinking back, that might have been the happiest time. Christopher, looking confident, addressed Dylan. I've brought some wine. Let me pour you a glass. Dylan, albeit awkwardly, accepted it. The meal continued in a good atmosphere for a while. It was when the bottom of the wine bottle Christopher brought started to show that the mood changed. You're in the entertainment industry, right? Frankly, I still can't trust you. Dylan's words made me freeze. The room suddenly became quiet, the atmosphere tense. I didn't want to ruin this happy moment. Hey, why are you saying such unpleasant things all of a sudden? I sharply said to Dylan. Sharon then spoke up. That's right. What are you talking about, Dad? That's just prejudice. It's terrible that you can't trust the person I chose. Dylan's frown did not ease even at Sharon's words. Christopher tried to maintain a smile, but he was undoubtedly upset. The evening ended with an awkward atmosphere. After Christopher left, a sober Dylan sincerely apologized to us. Indeed, Dylan's opinion was nothing but a prejudice. Sharon's smile had proved Christopher was a good match, which was evident. Gradually, seeing our daughter's happy smile, Dylan began to accept Christopher. They were supposed to have pledged eternal love at their wedding. They were supposed to be in love. Now, I regret not listening more to Dylan's concerns. As Sharon was approaching her 30s, she announced her pregnancy. Both Dylan and I were overjoyed. Dylan, like when he talks about tourist destinations, awaited the grandchild's birth with a childlike smile. And I too, got too excited for my age. You two are getting ahead of yourselves. Then, at Sharon's request, she and Christopher decided to move in with us. We thought it would be better for everyone to live here together. We were saying you guys would surely be happy living with your grandchild. That's true. You both have jobs, right? Leave the caregiving to Grandma and Grandpa. Don't worry. Their belongings had already been moved from the nearby apartment where they had been living. Everything was prepared for the whole family to live together. Tears welled up as I thought about my daughter's growth and the upcoming birth of my grandchild. As we had these conversations, Sharon's belly grew. Christopher was still busy with work. I understood his job, but I wondered if he couldn't be a bit more supportive of Sharon. As for Sharon, being on maternity leave, she spent most of her time at home. I asked about Christopher's work. Sharon, rubbing her belly, defended him. Christopher is busy. He's always on the go. But he calls every day to say good morning and good night. We're even thinking of names for the baby together. Hoping for a beautiful girl. Oh, we'd love to help pick a name too. Sharon smiled, savoring her happiness, as she listed a few name options. As the due date approached, Sharon decided to name the baby Tiana. The moment Tiana was born, her vibrant cry was indescribably precious. Sharon's relieved expression. Tears in Christopher's eyes. Dylan's beaming smile. And Tiana, trying her best to breathe. I was confident that our lives were solid and would continue to be so. However, the happy future I envisioned never came to be. At the height of my daughter's happiness, I was shocked to learn a disturbing truth from Dylan. He had confirmed some unbelievable behavior from Christopher. I didn't want to doubt him. He was supposed to be the perfect husband for my precious daughter. Despite my uneasy feelings, Dylan, with a serious expression, insisted. I saw it with my own eyes. I know it's hard to believe Christopher's suspicious behavior. Violet, you might not want to know, but it's true. That man is lying. To us and to Sharon. I had never seen Dylan so emotional in over 30 years together. From his unsettled state, I learned everything. Dylan's seriousness made me realize the gravity of the situation. But it was too much to accept all at once. Why would Christopher do such a thing? What about Sharon and Tiana? My heart pounded, wishing I hadn't heard this truth. I wanted it all to be a lie. Especially since Tiana had just been born. Since Dylan told me, a swelling rage grew inside me. I felt the greatest anger of my life. I didn't know what the right answer was, but it was for Sharon and for Tiana. Reluctantly, I decided to follow Dylan's plan. Then we quietly began our preparations, just the two of us. Meanwhile, Tiana continued to grow. A month after her birth, we decided to go out as a family. The attendees were me, Dylan, Sharon, Christopher, and Tiana, 5 in total. I heard Christopher had planned this outing, which was a great surprise. He had arranged everything, including the meal. Dylan and I carefully prepared for the day. Upon arrival, Sharon lovingly watched Tiana. After taking a family photo with Tiana at the center, I wished for these peaceful days to continue. I glanced at Christopher. He wasn't looking at Sharon or Tiana. Although smiling, Christopher's attitude and tone seemed detached, as if preoccupied with something else. Then Christopher suddenly said with a sly smile, I want to take this opportunity and discuss this with you. I had a DNA test taken because I thought she didn't look like me. And it turns out she's not my daughter. Christopher said so, pointing at my granddaughter Tiana, who was being held by Sharon. I made an eye contact with my husband Dylan while Christopher was unable to hide his smirk. Just as I thought. I was disappointed, but quickly anger overwhelmed me. The test results show that Tiana is not my child. His shout drew the attention of those around us. So you've been cheating on me behind my back? You bastard. Were you having an affair with one of the fathers who picks up their kids from daycare? I felt a deep sense of regret. I still wanted to believe in him. A woman like this can't be trusted at all. Divorce. I want a divorce. Sharon seemed unable to comprehend Christopher's sudden change. She just froze and couldn't move. Sensing something amiss, Tiana, held by Sharon, started crying. Tiana's cries echoed throughout the area. After a moment, Sharon, with a look of astonishment, confronted Christopher. What do you mean? Why would you say that all of a sudden I haven't cheated? Christopher answered with a smug look. You say you haven't cheated, but can you provide any concrete evidence right now? I can't provide that, but I really haven't. Ah, so you're making excuses. I have irrefutable evidence here. Saying this, Christopher showed us the DNA test results and a divorce application. The test results indicated that there was no proof of a parent-child relationship between Christopher and Tiana. Half of the divorce application was already filled out. He had prepared all this. Sharon, faced with this evidence, couldn't say anything, her face on the verge of tears. Her lips were tightly pressed, enduring the pain, and my heart ached for her. Who could have imagined she would be treated this way? The results show that she's not my child. A cheating woman made a child with some other man, and the DNA proves it. Sign the divorce papers quickly. If you resist, I'll take you to court and demand compensation. Then Christopher, who had retracted his smile, spoke in a low voice. Hey, I've got a good lawyer. You can't escape, so be prepared. It's incredible how far he could take this act. This was the man he turned out to be. I felt a rage towards him like never before for neglecting my daughter. Glancing at Dylan, I saw he was angry too. Now was the only chance. I exchanged glances with Dylan and then took out a photo we had prepared in advance. This photo was our trump card. Holding it with trembling, angry hands, I presented it in front of Christopher. If you're going to do that, we have something to present as well. Right, Dylan? Yes, indeed. Dylan pulled several photos from his jacket pocket. They were photos of Christopher's infidelity, obtained by hiring a private investigator. Each photo was decisive evidence, but we had prepared multiple. It's necessary to confront him thoroughly with irrefutable evidence. How come these are here? What's this? In each of the several photos, Christopher was clearly visible. There were pictures of him walking arm in arm with an unknown woman, entering a hotel with a woman, and kissing a woman on the street, among others. Since the day Dylan confirmed Christopher's suspicious behavior, we had been investigating his actions with a detective. The skill of a professional detective is astounding. So, you were regularly meeting another woman, planning to switch from Sharon to her? Who's the one cheating, I wonder? Dylan also started yelling as well. You bastard! Trampling on Sharon's feelings. Christopher's smile had vanished, replaced by an unmistakable panic. How did you find out? No, wait. This is fake. You made these composite photos to slander me, you liar. Sharon's the one cheating. His voice was low at first, as if reassuring himself, then became accusatory, threatening us. But my anger was beyond control. Dylan, as if echoing my fury, shouted. You're the one who is lying. Are you saying all these photos are fake? Perhaps feeling overwhelmed by Dylan, or realizing his excuses were futile, Christopher suddenly became quiet. Dylan, although sometimes seen as unapproachable, hardly ever raises his voice. I realized for the first time how intimidating he could be when he was truly angry. Dylan took a breath and began talking in a quiet manner. My discomfort wasn't mistaken. You might not have noticed, but I heard everything from the bathroom. Those overly suspicious conversations. Things like I'll manage the separation smoothly or help me forge the DNA report. I didn't intend to listen, but such conversations are obviously strange. You've been deceiving and hurting our daughters all this time. Dylan had accidentally overheard Christopher's phone conversation while he was in the bathroom. Dylan had been close to the door without realizing Christopher was there. And then Dylan raised his voice again. We're going to do another DNA test. Science will prove it. The second test should yield the same results, right? You'll take responsibility for what you've said. Don't even think about running away. Christopher's legs wobbled, his nose running, reduced to a pitiable state. Tiana, tired from crying, had fallen asleep. Was he always such a pathetic man? I remembered his sharp, robust appearance when he first came to ask for our daughter's hand in marriage. That man was nowhere to be seen now. At that moment, something snapped inside me. Sharon must have felt the same. Her eyes brimming with tears, she looked at Christopher with a mix of disgust and pity. I rubbed Sharon's back. I wanted to believe in you, if only I could. I sighed heavily, but now that the truth was revealed, Christopher could only apologize. His pride gone, his apologies seemed too late. Then, as Christopher was profusely apologizing, Sharon approached him. With tears in her eyes, she lashed out at him angrily. Don't joke around. It's too late to apologize now. Get out of our sight. You're the worst. Christopher's apology was cut off by the sound of a sharp slap. It felt like a satisfying sound that dispelled the terrible atmosphere. After receiving a powerful slap from Sharon, Christopher collapsed to his knees. He tried to flee but seemed unable to move, his legs giving out. As you wish, we'll part ways. Goodbye forever. Christopher received the stares of everyone around. Urged by Sharon, Dylan and I left the scene. Sharon didn't look back, not even once. According to the detective's investigation, Christopher's affair partner was an ex-girlfriend. The reason they broke up was apparently because he was a part-timer with low income at the time. Back then, Christopher was juggling part-time night shifts at a grocery store and stocking shelves at a supermarket. Later, Christopher joined a TV crew, and during a street interview for a TV program, he happened to meet his ex-girlfriend again. It was a wide show hosted by a celebrity known for his sharp tongue. His ex-girlfriend seemed impressed with Christopher, who had made a place for himself in the entertainment business. By this time, Sharon was already pregnant. Both wanting to rekindle their relationship, the ex-girlfriend was quite cooperative with this plan. Such a hopeless situation, I thought. Now that I knew the whole truth, my anger was replaced more with disappointment. On the way home, none of us spoke a word. If even we, as parents, were deeply hurt, Sharon's emotional wounds must be immeasurable. In the heavy silence, Dylan broke the ice. Hey. You should just rest for now. I'll take care of all the tedious things like the compensation claim and other procedures with Violet. Sharon just nodded silently. I also spoke to Sharon. Your life is still ahead of you. For Tiana's sake, eat delicious food, get plenty of sleep, enjoy beautiful scenery, and just focus on resting. We'll always be here to support you. Sharon was still struggling to come to terms with her feelings. But with Tiana there, we had to move forward. Few months passed by, but Sharon tended to stay at home. Given what had happened, it was understandable. Yet gradually, she regained her smile and declared, If I keep mourning, Tiana's going to get mad at me. Mom, Dad, I'm sorry for worrying you so much. I'm thinking of returning to work soon. As for the compensation, Christopher and his party ended up paying $15,000 each. It was a deserved retribution. And Christopher was dramatically dumped by his ex-girlfriend. She was furious about the large sum of money lost because of him. That's a fitting end for such a man, Dylan said with a face that couldn't hide his disgust. About half a year later, in a season of blue skies, Sharon successfully returned to work. Worried, I secretly visited her workplace. My concerns were unnecessary, as I saw Sharon lively and happily working surrounded by children. I told this to Dylan, and to that he proudly snorted. I told you there was no need to worry. Though he had hesitated to come with me till the last minute. Hearing Dylan's words, I couldn't help but laugh, feeling our happy daily life returning. Despite everything, our family had regained peaceful days. Tiana was growing up healthy. Dylan, now past 60, was still actively working. Today, I'm preparing a meal for a family dinner. After setting the table, I said to everyone, "Let's go on a family trip again. Anywhere, as long as we're together." "Absolutely. Anywhere we go will be fun." At that moment, Tiana made a sound as if replying. Her incomprehensible babble was enough to bring a smile to Sharon's face. We all smiled in response. "Dad and Mom, live long, okay? I want to show Tiana the wide world. Just like the old times, I hope we can travel together again. Of course, I plan to live long." "Right, Dylan?" "Yes, indeed. Maybe it's time to cut back on the alcohol." Dylan went to put the beer he had prepared back in the fridge. I too thought about starting walking myself to stay healthy. With these 4 people, I felt like we could do anything. I want to continue spending my days in this house, unchanged. Because I know there is certain happiness here. Too bad. I'll give you as much money for compensation as you want, you poor thing. You know that Mary is the one who's the CEO, right? I'm Mary. I've been married to my husband David for 2 years. We both work and are so busy that we hardly have time to talk except on weekends, but our relationship is strong, and we go on an overseas trip together once a year. When we got married, we decided to build a new house and splurged on a mansion. I'm satisfied with our current life. I have a good friend from high school named Emma, and we occasionally go out for lunch together. Emma has high standards for men and isn't married yet, but she has a strong desire to marry. Especially, she won't compromise on finding someone with a high income. "Hey, can I come over to your house sometime?" And right now, I'm having lunch with my friend Emma for the first time in a while. We've both been busy and haven't been able to meet often, but we've kept in touch through calls and messages. Today, our schedules aligned. Emma and I have been close friends since high school, sharing everything about each other. Both the good times and the hard times, they all have become fond memories. Since marrying my husband 2 years ago and becoming busier at work, I've had less time to see Emma. My husband usually has weekends off, but due to the nature of his sales job, working on holidays isn't unusual. He was busy with work, and I was figuring out how to spend my free time alone when Emma contacted me, leading to this moment. "Sure, my place is close by. How about we have tea at my house after this?" "Really? I'd love to." After getting married, my husband and I built a house, but since I usually met Emma outside, this was the first time I invited her over. After finishing lunch, we headed to my house. Upon arrival, Emma was amazed. "Wow, this place is a mansion. Amazing." When we built our house, we didn't hold back because it was a once-in-a-lifetime purchase, resulting in a house larger than the average family home. Being new, the interior was still pristine, and Emma seemed to love it. "We splurged a bit. It's our dream house, after all. It's so spacious and beautiful. Must have cost a fortune?" "It was a big purchase, but it's our home. Cost us about $1 million. Emma was shocked at that. $1 million? Is David's salary that high? Emma has always had high standards for men, particularly regarding income. Her question seemed to stem from those values. David's salary? Well, it's pretty good for his age, I guess. I tried to answer without giving specifics, to avoid any offense. I see. I didn't realize at the time, but this vague response was a sign of things to come. Unaware of Emma sneering behind my back, I went on to prepare the tea in the living room. Hey, since I'm here, can I stay until David comes home so I can say hi? Emma asked with a smile, teacup in hand. Seeing no reason to refuse, I happily agreed. Great. Where's the bathroom? This way. I showed Emma to the bathroom and waited for her in the living room. In the meantime, I messaged my husband that Emma was visiting and suggested we have dinner together. Wait, that's my bag. I got lost coming out of the bathroom. Ended up touring the house and found this. This brand's really expensive, right? Mind if I borrow it for a while? It wasn't that far from the bathroom to the living room. She probably wanted to see the house, but the bag Emma had was supposed to be in my bedroom. Realizing she had entered my bedroom without permission was unsettling. But I didn't make a fuss and reluctantly agreed to lend her the bag. Okay, but you must return it. It's a gift from my husband. Of course, don't worry, I will. Later, feeling a bit uneasy, I checked the bedroom while I was supposed to go to the bathroom. Nothing seemed ransacked, but it looked like the closet had been rummaged through, with bags and shoes slightly scattered. I decided to mention it to Emma when I returned to the living room. Emma, you went into the bedroom, right? Seems like you went through the closet too. I'd rather you didn't do that. When I looked Emma in the eye and spoke, her eyebrows twitched momentarily. You're right. Sorry. Won't do it again. Thanks, I appreciate it. While we were talking, my husband came home. I had told him in advance that Emma was visiting, so perhaps out of consideration, he brought home a cake. I'm home. Welcome back. Thanks for the cake. This is my friend Emma. I mentioned her in a message. How about the three of us have dinner together? Nice to meet you, Emma. Mary always speaks highly of you. Of course, I'd love to. Nice to meet you too. I'm sorry I couldn't attend your wedding, but I'm happy to meet you like this. Emma had been ill and couldn't attend our wedding, so this was her first meeting with my husband. After dinner, we enjoyed the cake my husband had bought with some tea. Emma's friendly nature meant she quickly got along with my husband, and the evening ended on a high note. About a month later, I started noticing changes in my husband. He would quickly look away during conversations and spent more time on his phone. He even started taking it to the bathroom and shower. It was an obvious change. I considered checking his phone at one point, but decided against it, feeling there wouldn't be anything pleasing to find. However, his behavior was typical of someone hiding something, and I couldn't help but suspect him. Our conversations at home became increasingly rare. Furthermore, his weekend work increased, and we began living like ships passing in the night. One day, I came home to find divorce papers on the table. Though I had anticipated it, seeing the filled-out papers still shook me. I immediately called my husband. I just got home and saw the table. What's this about? It means what it says. I want a divorce. I knew something was off, but tell me why. I've fallen in love with someone else. Are you saying you've been cheating? It's not cheating. I've seriously fallen for her. Though it might seem like cheating to you. How is it not cheating? Does she know you're married? She knows, but... My husband hesitated, making it clear we needed a face-to-face conversation. As I was about to speak. Hello, Mary? It's me. A familiar voice replaced my husband's. Emma? Yes. I'm dating David. And we want to get married. Hearing this, I felt despair. My heart raced, and I felt incredibly upset. What do you mean, get married? David is my husband. I fell for him the moment I met him at your house. We exchanged contacts and started talking, and things escalated. What do you mean escalated? What are you thinking? Anger, emptiness, and sadness overwhelmed me, leaving me speechless. I know it's bad. But what can we do? We were meant to be. I'm grateful to you for bringing us together. Emma said without a hint of remorse, even though she claimed to feel bad. Her voice, instead, sounded defiant. I could never forgive the betrayal of my husband and a friend I had been close with since our student days. You don't really feel bad, do you? Let me speak to my husband instead. David said there's nothing left to talk about. Can you just sign the divorce papers and submit them as soon as possible? How can I agree to anything without a proper conversation? Tell him to come home at once. What? That's impossible. He's living with me now. There's nothing to talk about, right? You just need to sign the divorce papers. I felt nothing but suspicion and irritation towards Emma, who answered nonchalantly as if she either wanted to provoke me or bore some grudge against me. Just put my husband on the phone. My loud demand didn't faze Emma, who just scoffed and replied mockingly. Whatever you say, it's not going to happen. Bye. Holding the phone after she unilaterally ended the call, I stood there dumbfounded for a while. The sleepless nights continued, and my husband didn't come back during that time. The divorce papers left on the living room table seemed to be waiting for my signature. Emma kept sending me multiple photos of her and my husband together, as if to flaunt their close relationship. My mental health deteriorated to the point where it began to affect my job. So I decided it was time to seriously consider divorce and consulted a lawyer. I had a lawyer acquaintance whom I decided to consult. After setting up an appointment, I met with the lawyer and explained my situation. It must have been tough. My lawyer listened attentively to my story. What would you like to do? My lawyer asked, and to my surprise, my answer came more easily than I thought. I want a divorce. But I want them to be properly punished. That's understandable. Let's make sure to claim compensation. We can't let the evidence they've been so kind to send us go to waste. Right. I'll claim compensation from my husband and Emma and make a clean break. Thank you for your help. Leave it to me. And, although it might be unnecessary to say, try to eat well and get enough sleep to take care of your health. Thank you. After talking with the lawyer, I decided to take the necessary steps to move on. They say time heals all wounds, and I'm starting to look forward a bit more each day. Recently, I've been able to eat meals I couldn't before and sleep without an issue. The only thing I'm losing is my husband. I have nothing else to lose or worry about. Having gone through this, I'm sure something good is waiting for me next. This thought gave me some energy. And then a few days later, Emma contacted me again. Hey, are you still clinging to the past? I want you to hurry up and get the divorce. Completely unapologetic. What's wrong with you? I'm preparing for the divorce, so tell that to my husband. That's a lie, right? You think David is coming back, don't you? I know what you're clinging to. It's David's income, isn't it? Income? Yeah, he's the CEO with an annual revenue of $500 billion. You were hiding that from me because you knew this would happen if I got involved, didn't you? My husband is the CEO with an annual revenue of $500 billion? Don't pretend you didn't know. That's why you could afford such a mansion. Did he tell you that? Yes, he told me everything. So hurry up and leave that house. It's going to be mine now. Too bad David won't be coming back. I'll give you as much compensation as you want, you poor thing. After saying that unilaterally, Emma hung up the phone. Now I understood why Emma targeted my husband. This call from Emma completely cooled off my feelings for my husband, and I started to think about life after divorce. From the next day on, I felt much clearer in my mind. In a way, I might have Emma to thank for that. The couple photos she sent today only disgust me now. Everything she sent was shared with my lawyer. After recovering from my illness and solving work problems, my usual routine finally returned. All that was left was to settle things with my husband and Emma. My lawyer had sent them the documents on my behalf. Now, we just had to wait for their response. A few days later, a reaction came swiftly. Hey! What were you thinking sending documents to my company? Emma was furious, her anger echoing. So, you were harassing me without being prepared for the consequences? Just sharing a bit of mine and David's happiness with you. It wasn't harassment. No, it definitely counts as harassment. Please, talk to my lawyer from now on. Goodbye. Hey. I hung up the phone right there. I felt a sense of relief knowing she was sufficiently rattled. Emma's calls continued, but I never picked up again. Similarly, my husband tried calling, and when he realized I wasn't answering, he resorted to messaging, complaining about documents sent to his parents' house, which exposed the affair and led to their condemnation. His messages were selfish and told me to tell his parents that it was all a lie. My disdain for my husband only grew. Returning home, having dinner, bathing, and going to the bedroom, I noticed something was off. Opening the closet, I saw that some of my bags and accessories were missing. Specifically the branded ones. I could think of only one suspect. You've got to be kidding, she went as far as to steal? I immediately informed my lawyer, who said we would need evidence to pursue this. Evidence. That's when I remembered installing security cameras around the house as a security measure when we built it. I had forgotten about them since I never had to use them before. Checking one of the cameras, I found it had recorded everything clearly. I reviewed footage from all the cameras in the house and, to my astonishment, I saw Emma stealing my branded items over several days while I was away. I was horrified. To think I was friends with such a person filled me with fear. The next day, I took the video data to my lawyer, who was also appalled. This person is incredible in a way, boldly stealing from someone else's home. This will certainly serve as evidence. But this will be a separate case from the divorce, is that okay? It's a criminal matter. Yes, please proceed with everything you have. I said, smiling eerily calm. After all that had happened, why should I hold back? It was time for her to take responsibility for her actions. Understood. But I do recommend changing your locks. Taking my lawyer's advice to heart, I changed the locks that very day. After that, I received a barrage of calls from both my husband and Emma, which I completely ignored. They even came to my house directly, but I didn't hesitate to call the police. Eventually, the calls from my husband and Emma stopped. A few days later, my lawyer mentioned that they wanted to negotiate a settlement. Asked what I wanted to do, I agreed to a discussion, provided my lawyer was present. I was busy and wanted to settle this quickly. The lawyer arranged the date. And on the day, we met in a conference room at the lawyer's office. Emma and my husband burst into the room, opening the door aggressively. Finally, we meet, you coward. Stop it, Emma. It's because she's been running away. Because of you, our wedding's been postponed. Emma was ready to throw something at me, anger radiating from her as she yelled. My husband desperately tried to calm her down. Seeing them after so long, I felt pathetic for having to deal with such people. Please calm down. If any violence or abusive language is detected, we will immediately call the police, understood? The lawyer managed to settle them down for a moment, and Emma and my husband finally took their seats. With everyone ready, the discussion began. David, you wish for a divorce, correct? We agree to the divorce. However, considering your relationship began as an affair, we will be seeking compensation. Do you have any objections? If it means getting a divorce, fine by me. But after paying the compensation, I want nothing to do with you ever again. Mary, is that acceptable to you? Of course. I have no interest in continuing any relationship with him either. I stated calmly, noticing my husband's slight disturbance. But I didn't care about that anymore. Next, regarding the amount of compensation. When the lawyer started to talk about the compensation amount, Emma joined the conversation. I said any amount is fine. We have a ton of money anyway. Emma crossed her arms and spoke arrogantly. Hearing this, the lawyer adjusted his glasses. A ton of money, you say? Yes. Aren't you a lawyer? Didn't you check? David is the CEO of a company with annual sales of $500 billion. Compensation for an affair is not a problem at all. I'll even give you a fair share of the property. Your salary must barely cover your living expenses. Emma said this confidently, laughing, and the lawyer, unable to hold back, burst into laughter. Emma looked displeased at the sight. What's so funny? Are you mocking me? Emma said, shaken, to the lawyer who was drying his tears with a handkerchief, trying to compose himself. My apologies. I see it now. It all makes sense. The lawyer put down his handkerchief, looked at Emma, and smiled. The CEO is Mary, you know? David is just an ordinary employee there. What? Emma looked puzzled for a moment, but soon crossed her arms and sneered. So the lawyer hired by a fool is also a fool. Get real. Did Mary lie to you saying she was the CEO? How sad. I should be the one saying that you. Did you verify your side of the story? The lawyer turned to David, who looked pale. Seeing this, Emma, perhaps feeling anxious, started to press David. You said you were the CEO of a company with annual sales of $500 billion, right? You weren't lying, were you? David said nothing. Just looked down, pale. Seeing this, Emma gradually turned pale as well. Answer me. You weren't lying, right? You said you were the CEO of a company with annual sales of $500 billion? Emma shook her David's shoulder, but he just muttered. Sorry. This apology plunged Emma into despair. Emma, trembling, turned to face me and stood up, slamming the desk. That's a lie, right? There's no way you're the CEO. I was the closest to you, so there's no way I wouldn't know. Emma, still standing, turned her gaze from David to me and now started accusing me. So I decided to tell her the truth. Just because we're best friends doesn't mean we share everything. Especially not our incomes. And it's precisely because I was close that I knew how greedy you were with money. That's why I never intended to tell you. I looked straight at Emma, without averting my eyes, and told her this. Emma, unable to hide her shock, sat down on the spot. Then, that house is… Of course, it's in my name. So the one leaving is my husband, no, David. He's not going to be my husband anymore. Emma fell silent at those words. Now that everything is clear, we will claim a reasonable amount of compensation. My lawyer said, but neither David nor Emma seemed to hear, both remaining silent. Next, regarding the theft. The lawyer continued unemotionally, despite the couple's demeanor. It was quite satisfying to listen to. At the mention of theft, the couple finally looked up. Theft? Yes. You stole several brand items from Mary when she wasn't home, didn't you? Confronted about the theft, Emma bit her lower lip. David, apparently unaware of the incident, looked surprised. Hey! What's this theft about? It wasn't me. I don't know anything. Emma desperately pretended not to know, but then the lawyer presented photos from the surveillance footage. What's this? A footage from the surveillance camera. A surveillance camera? Emma seemed to be unaware of the surveillance cameras. Had she known, she wouldn't have dared to steal so boldly. The husband covered his face with his hands and sighed. Our house is equipped with surveillance cameras. We installed them for security, since we bought quite a nice house. Why didn't you say that sooner? Who would think you'd break in to steal? Plus, it means you stole the keys from me. I thought I had lost them. I wanted those brand items. You wouldn't buy them for me. So the two started arguing. Both the lawyer and I sighed in disbelief. Please save your quarrels for later. As for the theft, we plan to file a police report. That concludes our discussion. Hearing the word police, Emma visibly panicked. Police is such an exaggeration. I just borrowed something from a friend. You can't possibly file a police report, right? I didn't lend it, and I no longer consider you a friend. I will file a report. After all, it was stolen. No! I'll compensate. Just don't call the police. Are you going to compensate? The brand items you stole are worth a considerable amount, you know. Are you sure you can cover that? Plus, there's also the compensation. When I said this, Emma, thinking she had found a way out, turned to David. Hey, even if you're not the CEO, you're still working, so you can pay, right? We're going to be fine, right? David just looked down and remained silent at Emma's words. He doesn't have the ability to pay. After all, he's been absent without contacting the company, so he's going to be fired. What? I told you he worked at my company. Ever since he started having an affair with you, his unexcused absences increased. I've been notified. There's no way we could keep such an employee, right? But there's still the division of assets. With that division of assets won't be possible. Why not? The savings accumulated as a married couple should be part of the division of assets. Aren't you a lawyer? Don't you know that? Have you not heard anything from David? You said he told you everything, yet you missed the important parts. Then, the lawyer presented a document. As per the prenuptial agreement, if the marriage doesn't last 3 years, neither party can claim the other's assets. Since they're currently in the 2nd year of marriage, this applies. Emma trembled as she took the document. Like this piece of paper has any power. That is a notarized document, so it has legal force. However, it only means no division of assets. David's assets remain. Emma managed a bitter smile at this. Well, if that's the case, we're fine. David, you have savings, right? So, we're okay, right? The face of Emma clinging to hope was no longer that of the friend I knew. There's none. Because you kept on spending. The savings are gone. At David's words, Emma sat down on the floor. I couldn't feel sorry for her at all. This was her own doing. The discussion is over, so please submit the divorce papers promptly, and David, please pack your things and leave the house. That's all. It was unclear whether the lawyer's words were heard, but the lawyer and I left the room, leaving the sitting couple behind. I left the rest to the lawyer and went home. The divorce was finalized smoothly. With the lawyer present, David packed his belongings and left the house. I received a few messages from David, but I blocked him completely. I cut off all contact with David and Emma. After being fired from the company and losing his savings, David ended up moving into Emma's place, but with the theft incident, Emma also got fired. They both desperately looked for work but only managed to find day-pay part-time jobs. Despite receiving their salary on the same day, Emma, who is bad at saving, continued to spend and ended up being evicted for failing to pay rent. This incident became known to their relatives, and both were disowned by their parents, unable to return to their parents' house. They now live in a very old, inconvenient apartment while working part-time jobs to pay compensation. I heard from a classmate living nearby that they are occasionally seen at a local spa, looking completely different from before, with worn-out clothes and hair. As for me, work is going well, and I've joined a tennis club as a new hobby. I'm enjoying working on myself while getting some exercise. 6 months later after this incident, I went on a solo trip abroad, where I met a wonderful man, and we are currently dating. This past event has become an unforgettable part of my history, but thinking that it led to the person I am today, I might feel that I made the right choice and I am now very happy with my life.
Hey, you heard right. You're no longer needed. Sorry, but I'm taking this tower mansion and your husband. As a thank you, I'll rent you a room at double the rent. Even hearing Selena's despicable words, my heart remained calm. Understood. Let's get divorced. I will call a lawyer right away to discuss this, so please respond when they contact you. I said this in a purely businesslike manner. Whether it was my tone or something else, Selena started laughing again. Oh, please. A gaming maniac and gardening volunteer short on cash, are you? Selena was irritated with Thomas for hesitating to pay the alimony in the divorce proceedings. Hey, why are you being so stingy? Just pay up and it's over. Thomas, you're the owner of this tower mansion, right? An owner, right? Then you can easily afford this amount, can't you? At Selena's words, Thomas opened his mouth and looked awkward. At the same time, the lawyer, Mr. Oliver, burst into laughter. Ha ha! Selena, are you serious? This tower mansion belongs entirely to Kelly. Hearing this, Selena momentarily looked confused. Still, I was happy that someone as plain and introverted as me had sparked her interest. Was I foolish to believe? You two are so alike. The way you look down on me is just like that of a devil. You don't deserve the top floor of this tower mansion. Please fall even further down to the very bottom. I will never forgive you. My name is Kelly, a 28-year-old housewife. I live in a tower mansion with my husband Thomas, whom I married 2 years ago. I teach at a gardening class twice a week, and the rest of the time I'm mostly at home on my computer. I've always been introverted, loving games, manga, and anime since my student days. It was purely by chance that I married Thomas. 2 years ago, I went to a popular bar in a busy downtown area for work. The bar, located in a prime street front location, was reputed to be very popular. There, working as a bartender at the time, was Thomas. I was very nervous entering the bar for the first time, but Thomas's lively talk helped me relax. He was a popular bartender in the bar, handsome and outgoing. I ended up drinking more than usual, carried away by Thomas's conversation. Maybe that's why I talked to Thomas about so many things. Because of that, I told him various things, like my favorite anime, foods, and even about my family's business. Under normal circumstances, Thomas and I would never have met, but he took an interest in me because I was unusual. After that, we went on several dates. One thing led to another, and before I knew it, we were living together and then got married. Around that time, Thomas took over the bar's management from the previous owner, who was looking to retire. When the previous owner was considering closing the store, Thomas came forward and decided to take over the business. Thomas got busier with work, so we didn't have a wedding ceremony. I didn't mind at all. I was happy just to be living with him. That's how we ended up married for 2 years now. Thomas comes home late at night because of his work. So our routine is him coming out of the bedroom by the time I return from teaching my bi-weekly morning gardening class. We have lunch together, then Thomas prepares for work. While he's getting ready, I'm facing my computer screen. Seeing me, "You hardly work. Just playing games on the computer every day must be nice," Thomas would say. But I counter, "I have told you before, it's not just play. This is work too." When I say this, Thomas always laughs, as if I'm an idiot. Sure. There are those who say gaming is their job. But messing around with that stuff doesn't make money. It's not a real job. I know Thomas doesn't mean any harm. But to him, who takes great pride in his work, everything I do seems like play. This is true for sitting at the computer, but also for being a gardening instructor. Digging in the dirt and computers won't make you money, you know. Since you have the chance, why don't you do something more fulfilling? Thomas may not understand, but I feel I am doing my job with a sense of purpose. Still, not wanting to dampen his work motivation, I didn't say anything more. Since becoming a bar owner, Thomas seems to have changed a bit. When we met, he was more approachable, cheerful, and humble. But lately, he's been rather condescending. Is that what being a business owner does to you? As I was doing various things, Thomas finished getting ready and left the house. A few hours after Thomas left, I received a message from a close friend. Her name is Selena, and she's been my best friend since high school. Back then, I was a bit introverted and shy, and Selena approached me. Selena was sociable with many friends and a part of the popular group in high school. According to her, what sparked her interest in me was the size of my family home. My family's house was incredibly large and very old. I love things like haunted tours, you know? I thought it was a bit much to say about a still inhabited house, but I didn't mind since she was interested in me. We even hosted a real haunted tour in the house one summer, inviting some classmates. Thanks to that, I, who was more introverted, became more integrated into the class. We stayed in touch after graduating high school, and I even announced my marriage to her. Selena was happy for me, as if it were her own news. The message from Selena said, "Got bored of my hometown, so I'm moving over to your place. Looking forward to it." After graduating college, Selena married a young city councilman in her hometown and lived an enviable, wealthy life. Through our messages, I learned that she had divorced the councilman for some reason. She had no children. This was the catalyst for her leaving her hometown. I got permission from Thomas and invited Selena to our house on the day she was coming over. I wanted to introduce her to Thomas. She hadn't decided where to live yet, so after she visited, I planned to go look at real estate with her. "Kelly, don't worry. Even if your house is small or Thomas is ugly, I won't laugh, I promise." The message she sent just before she moved was kind or rude. I couldn't tell. I chuckled to myself, thinking it was just like Selena. Wow, amazing. Tower apartments do have great views. I'm so jealous. And you own the whole building, right? That's really incredible. Selena, just out from our hometown, was thrilled at our tower apartment. The room wasn't on the top floor, but it was high enough and well located for a great view. I, too, love the view from this room. "So, what does Thomas do?" Selena asked while looking at the view. "He runs a bar." My words seemed to excite Selena even more. "Wow, a business owner? That's impressive. And what about you, Kelly? What do you do?" Selena then asked about me. "I'm teaching a gardening class twice a week now." When I said this, Selena turned around looking strangely happy. "Oh, so it's just volunteer work? Gardening is something anyone can do after all. Well, Kelly, you've never been good at much, so it can't be helped." I was slightly annoyed by Serena's laughing remark, but my attention shifted when Thomas came out of the bedroom. "Selena, that's right. Kelly can't do much, but spends all day playing games on the computer," Thomas said as he sat down on the sofa. Seeing this, Selena quickly moved from the window to the sofa and sat near Thomas. "Nice to meet you, Thomas. Wow, you're much more handsome than I thought. I can't believe Kelly landed such a handsome husband. You know, Kelly has always been into games and anime since high school. I'm surprised she hasn't changed at all." Selena, with Thomas right in front of her, noticeably raised her voice's tone. It's a behavior pattern I've seen often from her since high school, when she meets a guy she likes. "I was surprised, too, to find Kelly has such a cute and stylish friend. I thought she'd bring someone plain, but here you are, so adorable." Selena giggled in a high-pitched voice at Thomas's words. It seems Thomas is not entirely displeased either. Maybe it's just me, but Selena and Thomas seem very much alike. Their conversation seems fun, but there's malice in their words. The one giving malice might not realize it, but the receiver is sensitive. In this case, they both seem to share me as their target of malice. Ignoring my presence, Selena and Thomas are engrossed in their conversation. Unable to open my computer with guests over, I'm just spending time being bored. Eventually, their conversation shifts to Thomas's bar. "Thomas, you run a bar, right? That's amazing. I'm interested in management too, so I really admire you." Pleased by Selena praising herself, Thomas seemed in a good mood. "Then how about coming to my bar later? I'll treat you for your moving in." Somehow, it was decided that Selena would go to Thomas's bar. The plan was to look for Selena's place with a realtor after this. Selena, as if forgetting the promise, agreed to Thomas's suggestion. "Really? I'm so happy." I couldn't let Selena, just out of town, go to a night bar alone. I tried to go with them, but Thomas stopped me. "You don't need to come. You have your teaching job early tomorrow, right?
Don't worry, I'll take good care of Selena.
Leaving Selena's suitcase in the living room, Thomas took her to his bar. At the entrance when leaving, it seemed like Selena gave me a malicious smile. Am I just being overly suspicious? Just negative thinking? In my experience, bad premonitions always come true. In the end, Thomas and Selena didn't come back until morning. When I returned from the gardening class, Selena was sleeping on the living room sofa. Thomas, emerging from the bedroom, said Selena drank a lot last night. She got drunk and fell asleep in the bar, so he reluctantly let her stay there.
Selena's had a hard life, getting married young and all. It's a big difference from you, who does nothing but play games every day.
Thomas said this and went off to his bar again. In the evening, when I asked Selena about finding a place, "Don't worry, I found a place I can live. I'm moving there today, so relax, okay?" I wondered when she found it. But true to her word, Selena moved out with her suitcase that day. For a few days, I sent messages worried about Selena's life, but her replies were brief and indifferent. Casually checking Selena's SNS, I saw photos of her visiting Thomas's bar. Apparently, she had been going to his bar alone frequently. One day, Thomas said,
Selena's going to work at my bar. She helped with the dishes on a busy weekend. It was a huge help, so I'm going to have her help out from now on.
Since the day I met Thomas, I never went to his bar. He told me not to come. He didn't want people he personally knew in his personal space. Yet Selena is allowed to go and even work at Thomas's bar? I can't help but feel unsettled. Lately, Thomas and Selena have been getting uncomfortably close. Even if they get along, I think there's something wrong with Selena getting close to a friend's husband. It's been a month since Selena started working at Thomas's bar. Thomas seems to be going to work a bit earlier than usual.
The bar's been getting busier again, so there's a lot to prepare for.
That's what Thomas said. I offered, "Do you need help if it's that busy?" But Thomas vehemently refused.
No, you can't come. You know that building area has become dangerous recently, right? It would be terrible if something happened to you.
His tone was clearly evasive, but I didn't argue and let it go. Probably he's just enjoying working with Selena too much. I no longer trusted Thomas or Selena. That day, unusually, Selena came to our house. Her clothing had transformed into something much more luxurious than when she first left her hometown. "Leaving my hometown was the right choice. There's so much excitement here every day, and Thomas is here too." Selena sat on the living room sofa, looking at me with a nasty smirk. Then sighing, she said, "How did someone like you even marry Thomas? He runs a bar and owns this wonderful tower mansion. Someone introverted and obsessed with games like you doesn't deserve such happiness." Listening to Selena, I was convinced these were her true feelings. She's always been like that. Sociable, bright, and friendly, but she never tolerates others being in a better position than her. Even in high school, she might have resented me living in a bigger house than anyone else. That's why she labeled my house with a haunted tour, to attach a negative image. When she married the city councilman, she acted superior to all our classmates. It wouldn't be an exaggeration to say she married him just to hold that superior attitude. Now she resents me for having a husband who's a business owner and owning a tower mansion. I can feel her aura saying, "Don't you dare be happier than me." "Kelly, have you looked at yourself in the mirror? Your clothes and appearance are terrible and drab. It's embarrassing." Selena laughed loudly as she said this. I just silently looked at her face. Seemingly annoyed by my silence, she stopped laughing and said with a scornful look, "I'll be clear, since playing ignorant is disgusting, Thomas and I are dating. He always comes back to my room after work. You wouldn't know because you're blissfully asleep. By the way, my room is on the top floor of this mansion. Thomas arranged it for me. Being the owner of a tower mansion, he spares no expense." I was speechless at Selena's words. I had a hunch about Selena and Thomas's affair. What shocked me was that Selena was using the top floor of this mansion. As I was about to retort to Selena's triumphant smirk, Thomas came out of the bedroom. He seemed a bit surprised to see Selena in the living room, but quickly regained his composure and sat beside her. Thomas, I heard everything from Selena about your relationship. Is it true you let Selena use the top floor here? Weren't we supposed to move there if we had children? I asked Thomas as calmly as possible. Scratching his head, as if just waking up, Thomas replied lazily, "It's fine, isn't it? We're not using it anyway. Besides, us having kids? That's impossible. I can't even think of making kids with you. Stop talking about creepy stuff." If this was Thomas's answer, our future was decided. I can't stay with Thomas any longer. Understood. So, Thomas, you've decided to spend your life with Selena? And Selena, you're okay with this? I asked them one last time. Selena nodded affirmatively, as if it was obvious, and Thomas, embracing her shoulder, said, "Need to confirm that? I'll live with Selena. You're no longer needed." Thomas, too, spoke to me with a disdainful look, similar to Selena's. Nothing they say could affect my heart anymore. Selena, thrilled to have beaten me, kept grinning. Then, ostentatiously, she wrapped her arms around Thomas's body. "Hey, you heard right. You're no longer needed here. Sorry, but I'm taking this tower mansion and the husband. As a thank you, I'll rent you a room for double the rent." Even hearing Selena's worst possible words, my heart remained calm. Maybe when anger reaches its peak, people become unusually calm. Understood. Let's get a divorce. I will call a lawyer and arrange for a discussion, so please respond when contacted. I said this in a very businesslike manner. Maybe my way of speaking struck Selena as funny, as she started laughing again. Aw, the gaming maniac and gardening volunteer is struggling for money, huh? Planning to sue us for alimony in the divorce? Thomas, we should pay her, right? Kelly needs to live after all. Thomas agreed with a yeah and embraced Selena. They were already in their own world. Watching them made my skin crawl, so I left the place. And while they were at the bar, I packed my things and left. Thomas married me because I drunkenly talked about my family's land ownership, right? Because he knew my family was among the top landowners in my hometown. Selena was the same. Always wanting to be superior to others, you tried to tame me, the landowner's daughter in high school, to elevate your own status, right? Even so, I was happy you showed interest in such a plain and introverted person like me. Was I foolish to believe in you? You two really are alike. The look of disdain you gave me is just like that of a demon. You don't deserve the top floor of that mansion. Fall deeper and deeper, right down into the bottom of the earth. I will never forgive you. Right after leaving the mansion, I found a new place to live. I moved my larger belongings while they were at the bar. Selena's SNS showed her and Thomas on dates, though her face wasn't shown in the scenes from the bar. Hashtags like #he is a business owner and #living in a tower mansion were attached. She's a woman with endless need for validation, I thought, almost impressed. I got a lawyer, Mr. Oliver, recommended by an acquaintance. I heard he's strong in infidelity and real estate cases, so I decided to ask for his help without hesitation. "Kelly, you've been through a lot. You don't have to fight alone anymore. Let's work on this together." Mr. Oliver was a man with a very calm demeanor and gave a sense of security. He also expedited the process of filing for alimony very quickly. At that time, Selena and Thomas seemed to agree to the alimony payment, so I expected them to comply quickly, but it turned out differently. Even after sending a certified letter about the alimony claim, there was no response for a week. And even after 3 more weeks, there was still no reaction from them. I somehow expected this would happen. Thomas runs a bar. But is it really that profitable? I don't know the extent of the bar's profits. When we got married, we talked about money management. However, Thomas never discussed the bar's revenue and just gave me the bare minimum for living expenses. Sometimes even that was late. At those times, I had to use my own savings for living expenses. Regarding Selena, I couldn't see any flow of money either. I felt uneasy that they initially agreed so easily to the alimony payment. After waiting a month with no response from them, Mr. Oliver arranged a meeting for the four of us. To make sure they couldn't escape or hide, the meeting was set at the Tower Mansion, my former home. On the bar's day off, Mr. Oliver and I went to the mansion. Upon arrival, an obviously upset Selena greeted us. "What's this? Bringing a lawyer to the store? Super annoying." She sat heavily on the sofa, crossing her legs and arms, complaining with a devilish look. Mr. Oliver apparently had gone to Thomas's bar specifically for this matter. Thomas, either just woken up or tired, looked lifeless, probably feeling extremely awkward. I could well understand Thomas's feelings.
Let's get started then.
Just as Mr. Oliver was about to take control of the situation, Selena interrupted loudly. "Ugh, so annoying. Thomas, let's just pay the divorce settlement already. The amount in the letter. You can pay it right away, can't you?" Selena grabbed the hem of Thomas's shirt, shaking him as she pleaded. However, Thomas looked reluctant.
Yeah, I guess.
I understood why Thomas wasn't responding to Selena's demands. He simply didn't have the money. He couldn't admit it to Selena after trying to impress her. Having too much pride is truly disadvantageous at times like these. Selena couldn't hide her irritation at Thomas's indecisiveness. "Come on, why are you hesitating? Just pay it, and it'll all be over. You're the owner of this Tower Mansion, aren't you? As the owner, you can surely afford this amount." At Selena's words, Thomas opened his mouth with an awkward expression. At the same time, Mr. Oliver laughed out loud.
Selena, do you really believe that? This Tower Mansion belongs entirely to Kelly."
Hearing this, Selena looked confused for a moment. "Huh? Kelly? Why Kelly? Thomas owns this entire Tower Mansion, right? That's why you gave me the top floor, right? Thomas, you told me you're the owner. Did you lie?" Selena aggressively confronted Thomas, who replied hesitantly.
No, it's not a lie. I mean, Kelly's mansion is mine too, right? I am the husband after all."
At Thomas's words, Selena's face fell in despair. It was typical of Thomas to say something like that to impress a woman. Indeed, this Tower Mansion is mine. I inherited this important real estate from my great-grandfather. My family is a landowner, not just in our hometown. Even if you are the husband, it's not yours. Well, we're getting divorced anyway, so it's a moot point, right? At my words, Selena and even Thomas began to look desperate. So shall we proceed? As per the certified letter I sent earlier, I will claim the divorce settlement from you. What about this room and the top floor? Will you continue living here? If so, the rent for this room is $4,000, and the top floor is $7,000. Please make sure to pay it monthly. Until now, as we were married, the concept of rent did not arise. But since we're no longer family, it's only natural to charge rent. Wait a minute. We didn't pay before, so it's unfair to ask for payment all of a sudden. $4,000, $7,000? That's too high. Is this how you treat friends? I was surprised to hear Selena use the word friend. It's very funny. Quite ironic, considering she took a husband from her so-called friend. Ignoring Selena's low-level words, I began to speak. Also, you have to pay rent for the building where Thomas's bar is located. It's in a prime location downtown, much more than the rent of this Tower Mansion. I'll assess it soon and send you the bill. Wait for it. Thomas's face turned pale, and Selena's expression twisted further.
Selena might not have known, but Thomas's bar building is also owned by Kelly. Kelly owns about 6 buildings and apartments in this area.
Until now, I hadn't charged Thomas tenant fees because he was my husband. That's why he could operate with some financial ease. But that's over now. You both mocked me for playing games all day, but that wasn't a game. It's a simulation system developed by our company. It calculates the best locations and layouts considering people's flow, population, logistics, and even feng shui. I said it wasn't a game, but you never believed me. I've been interested in real estate since high school, due to my family business. With years of experience and foresight, I'm now known as a bit of a real estate mogul. By the way, just asking, what's your total asset value? Selena asked hesitantly, clinging to Thomas's arm. I disclosed it without hesitation. Around 160 million, I guess. Thomas and Selena practically fell off the sofa at my response. Their shock was understandable. Until recently, they saw me only as a game maniac and a gardening volunteer. But even at this point, Thomas and Selena, the devils, didn't easily give up. Thomas, regaining his posture, said with a slight smile,
So half of that fortune is mine, right? If we're divorcing, we have to split the assets, right? So I get half of your wealth, right? Isn't that so, Mr. Oliver?
Both Mr. Oliver and I were a bit taken aback. I was surprised he knew the term property division, but he didn't understand its essence.
Actually, property division applies to assets accumulated together during marriage. Kelly's real estate and company inherited from her family before marriage are not subject to division.
Mr. Oliver explained. Thomas looked downcast at this, but he still tried another angle.
Hey, I was thinking about the content of that letter. It says when the infidelity started. But is that really accurate? What if I say Selena and I started dating after I left Kelly? That makes it unrelated to the divorce settlement claim, right? It wouldn't be infidelity then.
Selena exclaimed in admiration at Thomas's idea. I think it was well thought out for Thomas. However, we are not naive enough to send proof of content without any evidence.
Come on, produce proof that we had an adulterous relationship. If we don't have any proof, we will never pay compensation for the divorce trial.
I almost laughed at Thomas's feeble attempt, but restrained myself and started talking. So you want evidence? I have plenty, but where should I start? First, there's the audio recording of Selena loudly declaring her relationship with you when she came to my house. It's all recorded on my computer's voice recorder. Plus, I have several photos of you two entering the same room. The security cameras also captured you entering the top floor. I knew they might claim these weren't decisive evidence. Indeed, Thomas was already smirking, ready to counter. Oh, speaking of security cameras, I installed new ones in the building where your bar is. There was a blind spot in the corridor, so I put one there. Thomas reacted strongly to this, clearly upset.
What? You can't just put up security cameras like that. It's useless to film blind spots. Remove them. No, I'll remove them.
He went from laughing to red-faced with anger. He's a really busy man. What's wrong with installing security cameras in my own building? Besides, Thomas, you once told me not to come to the bar because that building is dangerous. If I hear that, of course, as the owner, I'll put cameras in the blind spots. Thomas seemed resigned at this point. There was no need to show the footage. He knew what it contained. When I checked in advance, I could clearly see Thomas and Selena huddled together in the blind spot of the building. I had seen Thomas and Selena close enough in the building's blind spot, and the cameras even recorded their intimate conversations like, "Let's get married and keep it a secret from Kelly." Installing high-quality security cameras was truly worth it. Thomas and Selena sat on the couch dumbfounded and unable to counter. Even in this situation, they didn't apologize, which frustrated me. I should have stayed in my hometown. This is so annoying and bothersome. Selena's remark was utterly selfish. She came uninvited, disrupted someone's home, and now complains about the trouble. I felt sad. I once believed Selena was a friend, and even felt grateful for her companionship. Why did it have to come to this? The saddest part is, Selena probably never considered me a friend from the start. She took my husband and showed no remorse for her actions. And that's why I won't relent. I was determined not to forgive them. By the way, Selena, aren't you still married to your husband back in your hometown? Selena, who had been slumped on the sofa, lifted her head at my words. She looked at me with wide eyes. Thomas, surprised, looked at Selena. He probably didn't know this fact. You're still in the midst of divorce proceedings, right? Whether it'll be fault-based divorce is still in dispute. I heard from classmates when I visited my hometown recently. Engaging in a relationship during divorce proceedings might not be a legal issue, but it sure doesn't look good to the mediators, does it? It seems certain the reason for Selena's divorce was her infidelity, but she denied it, and while the other side was gathering evidence, she ran away to me. Now she's shouting about marrying Thomas.
Selena, is that true? You're going to marry me, right? You promised, right? You can get divorced soon, right? There's no compensation for divorce lawsuits there, right? Selena!
Selena didn't say anything, just glared at me. She must be furious about being confronted with something she didn't want to hear. Her face turned bright red with anger. But then, as if struck by an idea, Selena's expression changed. Muttering to herself, she seemed to be deep in thought. Finally, as if having made up her mind, she looked at Thomas and said with an unexpectedly cheerful voice, "That's it. I won't divorce. I'll go back home. Apologize to my husband and get his forgiveness. Thomas, for now, make up with Kelly. Then you won't have to pay the divorce settlement, and Kelly's assets become yours, right? Then everything will be resolved. Let's get back together later, okay?" Her idea was so outlandish, it left me stunned. Mr. Oliver looked appalled. Thomas said, "Great idea," and they high-fived.
All right, Kelly, let's make up, forgive, and forget. I always knew you were my only wife. Isn't that great?
Thomas reached his hand out for a handshake, which I forcefully brushed away. Don't joke around. Do you think something once broken can be easily fixed? Do you even realize what you've done? I'm sorry, but I don't even have a sliver of feelings for you anymore, Thomas. My decision to divorce is final and absolute. At my words, Thomas and Selena were taken aback and fell silent. Reconcile? Their attitude was utterly disrespectful, and my anger peaked. Selena, thinking of you as a friend was my mistake. It's truly disappointing. Goodbye, and don't ever show your face again. I left the rest to Mr. Oliver and exited the room. I could hear Selena's crying from the living room, but it meant nothing to me. What do I have left after losing both a husband and a best friend? I decided to stop thinking about it for now. All I wanted was to sleep in a warm bed. After some time, my divorce from Thomas was finalized. I didn't know if Selena managed to divorce her husband back home, but Thomas and Selena seem to be living together now. Of course, they moved out of the Tower Mansion. Apparently, they're living in a cheap apartment somewhere. According to Mr. Oliver,
the bar you used to manage reopened after renovation. Seems to be doing quite well.
Unable to pay the rent for the bar, Thomas was reluctant to let it go. But due to its good location, someone else wanted to take over, and he had no choice but to sell. The new owner pays the rent promptly. Thomas and Selena do send a small amount each month for the divorce settlement. It's not about the money for me. Receiving their compensation is about accepting their sincerity. It's a bit of pride left for someone who lost a husband and a friend. I started a new real estate company, dedicating myself to enriching people's lives. In the end, what remained for me was my work. Using my knowledge and experience from student days, I focused on providing better land and homes. When I open the curtains in the morning, I can see the whole city I'm used to. The still low sun casts shadows of buildings across the city as it slowly rises. I couldn't think of any happiness greater than this view that filled my heart. Let's do our best today, too. Another usual day begins. I grew up surrounded by a gentle family and kind friends. It was a childhood in a typical household, not outstanding in academics, sports, or looks, but I always felt blessed with the relationships I had. Perhaps that's why I have a habit of trusting people too easily. Because of this, I've often been called naive or an oddball throughout my life. This story is about an episode with my naive self and a pitiable mother-in-law, Carol, who harassed me. My name is Rosie. I'm a 31-year-old sales associate. I just married Arnold last year, and we're still in the honeymoon phase. We often talk about wanting kids soon, but are enjoying our life as a couple. Arnold's parents live in their own house, about a 20-minute drive from our apartment. Once a month, Carol invites us over for dinner at their place. My friends worry. Isn't it hard going to your in-laws every month? Asking. But it's not a burden for me. Father-in-law Ethan is a great conversationalist, and Carol is kind. Carol prefers to cook alone, so I always get the guest treatment. It's easier than being at the apartment. I just laugh and chat with Ethan and Arnold while they drink, and the meal is served. Except for one thing. Ugh. Today, Arnold and I were invited over for dinner again by Carol. But as soon as I tasted the soup she made, I let out a groan.
Ew. What's wrong, Rosie?
Arnold looked at me puzzled. This soup tastes unique. Something I've never had at home. It's delicious, Carol. Really? Thanks. There's more if you want. Yes. I forced a smile for Carol. If I had another bowl, my blood pressure would skyrocket. That's how intense Carol's soup was. Glancing at Arnold and Ethan, I saw them peacefully enjoying their drink. Is this the taste of home here? I resigned myself to the situation and forced down the soup. It seems the in-laws like strong flavors. Carol's cooking is overly salty, like seawater, and her sweets are cloyingly sweet, like eating a lump of sugar. The first time I tried it, I almost burst out laughing, but the rest of the family ate it as usual, leaving me astonished. I couldn't bear to leave it, so I finished it. But it was too stimulating, and I felt sick. I'm worried about my in-laws' health, eating such intense flavors regularly. I've consulted with a nutritionist friend and gathered some materials. But I can't just tell Carol, "Your cooking is too intense. Please learn to moderate." There's no way I can say that. Back at the apartment, I stick to the recipes exactly. I always ask Arnold, "Is it delicious?" Worried it's too bland. And every time,
"Anything you make, Rosie, is delicious,"
he sweetly says. But I couldn't believe those were the heartfelt words of someone raised in a household with such intense flavors. Still, for Arnold's health, I continue to cook with regular recipes. There's another thing that worries me. It's about Carol serving old food. Sometimes she even offers spoiled fruit for dessert. I discreetly remove the inedible parts and eat what I can, but I'm constantly worried that my in-laws might get sick. Once I was given cookies that were expired by 6 months. Fortunately, Arnold noticed and said,
"Mom, these are past their expiration date."
Carol just laughed it off, saying, "Oh dear, I'm so scatterbrained." I was relieved then, but when the same can of cookies appeared and a gift from her, next time we visited, I was horrified. I've seen this before. When my grandmother developed dementia. What to do? Carol is still in her 50s, too young for such forgetfulness. The overly strong seasoning in the in-laws' cooking, the possibility that Carol might be developing dementia. I want to discuss these with Arnold, but worry about shocking him. Then a small miracle happened in our lives. I became pregnant.
Am I really going to be a dad? A boy or a girl, I wonder?
Arnold caresses my belly every day.
When should we tell our parents? It's better to wait until the pregnancy is stable.
I think so. We've only just confirmed the heartbeat, but I'd like their help if something happens. So maybe after the 3-month checkup?
Yeah, let's observe a bit longer. Oh, I can't wait to tell everyone. Mom will probably cry when she finds out about her first grandchild, right?
Probably. Imagining Carol tearfully congratulating us warms my heart. Carol, caught up in the joy of the long-awaited pregnancy, I forgot about various things. Next weekend at the in-laws' dinner table, I realized the serious issue. Eating Carol's overly seasoned cooking might harm the baby. Books I read during pregnancy warn that high blood pressure and diabetes can affect pregnancy and childbirth. Even if I can handle expired food, it might harm my baby. The thought terrified me, and I could hardly eat. "Rosie, you're not eating much. Didn't you like the food?" Carol frowns, looking at my plate. "No, it's not that."
Rosie is tired and doesn't have much appetite.
Arnold hurriedly covers for me, thinking it's morning sickness.
Really, Rosie? Don't overdo it at work.
Sorry. Ethan says kindly, but Carol's expression remains stern. I feel guilty for leaving food and lying. After dinner, Carol offers me a large brown cookie with coffee. Have something sweet at least. It'll surely refresh your tired body. Thank you. What a kind person. I intended to at least eat the cookie, but lately sweets make me nauseous. Arnold's light brown cookie was bite-sized. Making sure Carol in the kitchen can't hear, I whispered to Arnold, "Can we swap cookies?"
Huh? Oh, sure.
I peel off the wrapper from Arnold's cookie. The expiration date is tomorrow. I put it in my mouth and wash it down with coffee.
This cookie is a bit hard.
Arnold, breaking the larger cookie in half, looks puzzled. Just as he's about to eat it, "No!" Carol, returning from the kitchen, yells out. Startled, my heart leaps. Arnold freezes and Carol snatches the cookie from his hand. "Why does Arnold have this cookie? I gave it to Rosie."
It's fine. I'm eating it.
"It's not fine. It expired."
What?
Ah! A stunned silence follows Carol's outburst. Confused, I blurt out, "That cookie was expired? I didn't notice any date on it." But my words hardly helped the situation. Rather, it only confirmed there was malice in Carol's actions.
So, Mom, you were trying to make Rosie eat something expired without telling her?
Arnold asked Carol, emotionlessly. When Arnold is quietly angry, it's even more frightening. Carol seemed to understand this and was frantically trying to cover it up. "It's not like that. The expiration date passed, but it was a big, tasty thing that I wanted Rosie to eat."
Then why did you freak out when I was about to eat it? You knew it was bad and still passed it to Rosie, right?
Well, even I, usually oblivious, finally realized. Realizing it, I felt a chill run down my spine. So you mean to say, Carol, that you've been intentionally giving me old things and expired sweets?"
What? What do you mean, Carol?
Ethan glared at her with an intense look. "It wasn't on purpose, just some old stuff left over. Thought it'd be a waste not to have Rosie eat it."
That's exactly what doing it on purpose means. There's no good reason to feed someone something too old for you to eat.
"But she's a wife, right? It's natural for a wife to eat old stuff."
You're a wife too, but you've never been treated like that.
"Well, yes, but..." Carol, panicking, slammed the table. Watching her, I felt my heart growing cold. The Carol I loved was nowhere to be seen. I was utterly disappointed, thinking it was all an illusion. The betrayal made her look not kind but hideous, frantically making excuses. That made me wonder about something else. Was all that also Carol's malice? Was the overly strong taste of the food also a form of harassment?
What?
Ethan and Arnold looked surprised. "Oh!" Carol's face said it all. Arnold grabbed a cup of soup in front of me. "No, Arnold!" Ignoring Carol's protest, Arnold tasted the soup and spat it out. And then I spat it out.
Tastes like drain cleaner.
Ethan, trying a bite of the food I hadn't touched, grimaced.
Rosie, have you been finishing all this food every time?
"Yes, I thought this was the taste of this household. Ethan and Arnold ate it too."
We had normal seasoning,
Arnold explained. "I see. So that's how it was." Arnold's shoulders dropped, looking drained.
No way, this seasoning is messed up. Plus, you've been eating expired stuff.
I thought maybe Carol was developing dementia. Carol's mouth twitched. To think she was not liked by her son's wife and considered a sympathetic old lady with early dementia? Poor woman.
Rosie, you're kind. You endured thinking Mom had dementia.
Arnold praised me with a gentle voice.
In contrast, Mom? Exactly. Can't believe Carol would torment Rosie, who believed in her so much.
Ethan and Arnold sighed. I never thought Carol was like that. I consulted with everyone, worried about her taste buds and health, thinking she might have early dementia at her age. Consulted with who? Carol's face went pale. She hadn't imagined her misdeeds were known to others. My parents, friends, colleagues, they were all kind and gave me various materials and pamphlets, see? I pulled out pamphlets from my bag, piling them up. My effort of carrying these around, intending to consult Ethan or Arnold, came to use in an unexpected way.
Amazing. You were really worried about her.
The men were spreading out the pamphlets, seemingly moved. Of course, Carol was furious. What a terrible wife. I'm not sick, you know.
The terrible one is you, Mom. Unlike Rosie, who has a pure heart and was genuinely worried, right?
Shut up, shut up. I never liked this wife from the start. It finally opened again. Carol finally snapped, pointing at me with a furious glare. My precious Arnold, taken by such a foolish woman. And she didn't even notice the harassment. She must be out of her mind. I wanted a more beautiful wife for him, with a good job, someone I could proudly show off.
You're foolish to say such things about such a good daughter-in-law,
Ethan retorted. Ethan, you're being deceived by this woman.
What?
A heated argument erupted between my in-laws right before me. I really was hated by Carol. Knowing it is one thing, but being verbally abused by someone you believed in still hurts. Feeling down, Arnold muttered beside me.
Mom, why didn't you tell me this before we got married? Then I could have.
Arnold? Carol looked at him with expectation. Right? Surely you're on my side, her eyes seemed to say.
If I had known, I would have cut ties with Mom.
Arnold! Ignoring Carol's despair, Arnold bowed to me.
Rosie, I'm sorry. I didn't know and made you suffer.
Arnold, I'm sorry too. I never realized Carol was just naturally mean. Mean? Carol's eyes twitched. She probably never expected to be called that by me, someone she looked down on.
I married Rosie because she's so pure. Don't worry, we won't come here again.
Wait, Arnold, you can't do this.
The one who can't do this is you, Mom. Our child will never meet you.
Child? No way. Carol's eyes shifted to my belly. Clever as always, Carol. But if she had realized my lack of appetite sooner, things might have been different. Too busy with her harassment.
Let's go, Rosie.
Yeah. Taking the hand Arnold offered, I slowly stood up. Wait, I'm sorry, Arnold. It was just a little whim. Carol, desperately clinging, was coldly dismissed by Arnold.
You should be apologizing to someone.
Carol glanced at me, her eyes filling with loathing. I had no desire for her apology, so I spoke first. Carol, you betrayed me. I can never trust you again. I won't let my precious child meet someone like that. Goodbye. No, no! Carol collapsed with a cry of agony. We left the in-laws' house, Ethan seeing us off, not looking back. We probably won't ever return. It's ironic, but had Carol cherished the daughter-in-law who adored her son, she could have enjoyed a peaceful grandmother life surrounded by grandchildren. Such a foolish woman. Later, I explained the situation to friends and parents who had given me pamphlets. They were either astounded I finally realized or relieved. It seems everyone but me had recognized the harassment, but they listened and prepared materials so they could testify when I finally noticed the harassment. Embarrassing and pathetic. Thanks to the plethora of materials everyone prepared, it was proven how genuinely concerned I was. It helped Arnold and Ethan fully support me. I truly am blessed with the people around me. A year later, I'm busy every day caring for my son Dylan. Today we're having a home party as a baby shower, and I'm preparing food. Arnold is showing off his wonderful dad skills, playing with Dylan and changing diapers. Then my mobile phone rang with a call from Ethan, who's invited to the baby shower. Assuming he had a question, I answered without hesitation. Hello, Rosie? The voice, trying to sound cheerful, was obviously not Ethan's. I recognized it even after a year. It was Carol. After declaring estrangement, we moved away from the in-laws' house, sharing our new address only with Ethan. I blocked Carol's phone number and even had her delete mine from her mobile. Thanks to Arnold and Ethan acting as barriers, we enjoyed truly peaceful days without Carol barging into the hospital during childbirth. Is she trying to ruin that now? Just knowing Carol is on the other end of the phone makes my skin crawl. Ethan's in the restroom right now. It's Dylan's baby shower today, isn't it? Carol must have guessed, not from Ethan, but from the atmosphere of the celebration preparations. Arnold, recognizing the tension in my voice, gestures to take over the call. But I signal to continue. I'm a mom now, no longer the naive and sweet wife. Rosie, listen. I really feel bad about what I did. It was crazy of me to be so mean. I've been reflecting a lot. Uh-huh. So could I see Dylan soon? I've bought lots of cute clothes and toys for him, please. I wouldn't want toys with needles or bugs in them, so no thanks. What? I wouldn't do something so horrible. But you made me eat such things. That's an exaggeration. It wasn't that bad, right? Salt, sugar, even mold in excess can seriously harm you. I really am sorry. Kind Rosie, you would understand, right? Yes, people often say I'm kind. See? But it's not about being kind. I was just naive and trusted people too much. Once betrayed, I can't trust again. What? So, I'll never trust or forgive you, Carol. I'll never let my precious Dylan meet you. Wait, Rosie.
Hey, what are you doing?
Ethan? From the other end, I hear Ethan's angry voice and Carol's scream. I quietly press the end call button.
Mom's sorry, but you've become strong, Rosie.
Arnold sighs in relief, resting his hand on my shoulder. Of course, I'm his mom, I say, lifting Dylan from his crib and nuzzling his cheek, his small, soft body, his mouth smelling faintly of milk, his clear eyes reflecting me. Just his presence overflows me with maternal love. I can do anything to protect him. The naive wife is a thing of the past.
Something smells good.
Maybe the chicken in the oven is almost done. Can't wait. Ah! Dylan, oblivious to everything, happily responds, and we both smile. Being unaware of people's malice was easy and happy. But that was because others protected me. Now it's my turn to protect my family. Determined to become even stronger, I hope for these peaceful days to continue forever.
Mom, where's the car? What? I quickly checked our home's key case and found that only the minivan key was missing. Anita, on the other phone line, laughed mockingly and dropped a bombshell. Because I borrowed it, of course, it's not at Helen's place. What? Immediately I responded, that car isn't mine, you know? Huh? My name is Helen Miller. I'm a housewife with one daughter. We moved to this town to coincide with my husband Mark's business trip. We are what you would call a transfer family, something quite common for us. Being in a new place always makes me nervous, especially about getting along with the neighbors. But the people here were kind and treated both me and my daughter Ava really well. In kindergarten, Ava seems to have already made friends, chatting excitedly every day with great energy. It looks like we'll manage fine this time too. At that time, I had no idea what was to come. Sorry, Helen, for borrowing the car. It's okay. I was just thinking of going shopping. Today, I went shopping at a department store a bit far away with a local mom friend. The department store had a great selection, but it was a bit inconvenient to get to by public transportation. Much easier by car. When the topic of wanting to go there came up since I wanted to go, I suggested, why don't we go together? I can drive. We have a minivan at home. Mark said it would be handy to have. He prepared it for me. It's mostly for family use, but Mark has his own car, so I usually drive it. It's a pretty nice minivan, and my neighbors have said, admiring it, nice car. Helen, you went to that department store the other day? Lucky. Somehow, this minor weekend detail leaked out, and one day another mom friend, Anita, asked me about it. She's bright and lively and was one of the first mom friends to talk to me when I moved here, but to be honest, I find her difficult to deal with. At first, she was really nice and even showed me around town, so I felt obliged to return the favor a few times. But as we talked more, she increasingly brought up money matters. See, my husband has a decent position, but his salary is so-so. Oh, really? But having a position is impressive, I think. You think? Well, he's quite young for his position. Oh, and this bag, he got it for our anniversary. Cost like $2,000. That's nice. He sounds wonderful. What does Helen's husband do? Oh, he's in a specialized field. Wow, that sounds tough. Our conversations often felt like she was looking down on me, and I kept trying to flatter her. Not just that, she would even comment on people's clothes and accessories and talk behind their backs. That person always dresses so plain, changing my initial good impression of her. So when she suddenly asked me, I just smiled wryly and said, "Yeah, I really wanted to go. But it's hard to get there, right? How did you manage?" I went in my car. Wow, Helen, you can drive? Hey, can you take me next time? I hesitated to respond to her forwardness. Once I agree, she will likely ask again in the future. But I was overpowered by her insistence, and I found myself saying, "Well, if I'm free sometime, really? Promise." She left quickly after that, but then immediately messaged me, "When are you free?" I replied, confused, "I'm not sure about my schedule right now." But she kept asking every day, "So, what about your next day off?" I am asked by her almost every other day. Reluctantly, I said, "Maybe next Sunday." Eventually, I ended up taking Anita to the department store on Sunday, where her overbearing behavior continued. "Hey, let's go there next." Sorry, I need to get going soon." "What? We have barely had fun yet." Even though we had been there for about 5 hours, Anita was not satisfied and kept complaining. I wanted to stay longer, but I had things to do at home and Ava would be back soon, so I couldn't just go along with Anita. "Sorry, Ava will be home soon." Fine, but you have to take me next time." Anita, I can't do it every time." "What? Such a nice minivan, it's a waste not to use it. You bought it to go out, right?" "Well, first of all, your outfit for the department store, honestly, you could do better." Anita, frustrated that we had to leave early, spent the entire ride back criticizing my appearance and gossiping about other mom friends. My silence must have encouraged her because she started visiting my home frequently. Initially, I thought she was after the car, but her behavior escalated and eventually, "My foot hurts today. Can I borrow your car?" she said. I couldn't lend her my car, and I thought she had one too, so when I refused, she complained, "What's the big deal? It's just for a little while," and then she left grumbling. This continued over the weekends. There was a piano recital for Ava's lessons. Since some of Ava's classmates from kindergarten also attended the piano school, which was a bit far, I suggested, should I drive us there? I wanted to repay the kindness I received from the mom friends. Hearing my offer, they looked surprised and said, "Are you sure?" Not that I believed it, but Anita said that Helen finds it annoying to drive for kindergarten events and only does it because she's asked by mom friends. Really? I didn't believe it, but I thought it might be a burden. Apparently, Anita spread rumors about me not lending my car as retaliation. I explained the situation and apologized if I had made the mom friends uncomfortable. "Helen, you don't need to apologize." To which they responded, "Really, I don't mind driving everyone. We're all headed to the same places, and I want to get along well. I'm truly sorry." "We are sorry, too, for being swayed by rumors. Thanks for always helping." I was relieved the misunderstanding with the mom friends was resolved, but Anita's actions scared me. If not for this incident, we might have remained distanced. I felt like just a convenient source of a car to Anita. From that day, I kept my distance from Anita, and it seemed the other mom friends did the same, but I had no idea this would escalate into something bigger. "Mom, where's the car?" What? One day, when Ava and I planned to go to the mall, Ava rushed to the garage only to find the minivan missing. Usually, I would know if Mark took it, as he visits when he leaves the house, but he had been on a business trip for the past 2 days. When I took the key case, only the minivan key was missing. No way. Feeling a burglary, I immediately called the police. The police arrived quickly and looked into the area's security cameras, but our garage was in a blind spot. They said identifying the thief might take more time. I called Mark, who said, "I'll come home right away." Our outing was cancelled, leaving Ava and me disappointed. The next day, a holiday, we decided to bake at home, which cheered Ava up, but I couldn't shake off the anxiety and fear about the stolen car. Then Anita called my phone. I was busy discussing the car situation with Mark. "Sorry, Anita, I can't talk right now." "Oh, about the minivan?" Her sudden knowledge of it startled me. I was hooked. "How do you know about that?" Over the phone, Anita laughed mockingly and said something shocking. "Because I borrowed it. Of course, it's not at Helen's." Confused and shocked, I managed to ask, "What?" How could you say that? How did you even get the keys? Then I remembered yesterday's tea party. It wasn't my idea, but Anita's. We had a small gathering of mom friends at my house to discuss a class event. I need to use the bathroom. I recalled Anita going to the bathroom. She did seem to be gone for a while, but how did she know where the keys were? My mind was too scrambled to think clearly. Was it during yesterday's tea party? Yeah, duh. With such an obvious key case, it's like you were asking me to borrow it. I can't believe it. That's theft. Huh? It's your fault for not letting it to me. Anyway, I'm on a trip and won't be back until the weekend, so I'll return it then. That's not okay. But Anita abruptly ended the call, saying, "Bye then." I was speechless at the sudden turn of events. Though relieved the car wasn't gone for good, I was stunned that a mom friend would do such a thing. I explained everything to Mark, who said with a wry smile, "I really want to understand what kind of morals people have." Yeah, being taken advantage of like this is troublesome. Okay, I'll handle it. Huh? You wouldn't want to ride in a car that's being misused, right? I was thinking of returning it to the company soon, so this works out. The minivan wasn't actually purchased by us. Mark's company is a major one that deals with cars. So they provide them for test driving and use. So while the car wasn't ours, we were allowed to use it. Sort of like an unusual employee benefit. But having someone else use it was theft and posed a risk to the company. So Mark planned to handle it through the company. But will the company get involved for someone unrelated? Normally, no, but this case is special. Uh-huh. I was confused by Mark's words, but he just smiled. Don't worry, leave it to me. He said this. We decided to wait until the weekend for the car's return. However, 2 days before the promised date, Anita called again. Sorry, I had a bit of an accident, and the car is totaled. What? I was shocked by her words first. Apparently, she had an accident while traveling? Fortunately, no one else was involved, but Anita had minor injuries. However, the car was severely damaged. Without any remorse, Anita explained, and I asked, "You'll compensate for the car, right?" Huh? I got hurt, and medical expenses are high. It's tough with just my husband's earnings, and you still want compensation? Anita, who started all this by using my car without permission, kept making nonsensical excuses to evade responsibility. She was vague whenever I asked about her treatment costs and the car repairs. When I told Mark about this, "She is really hopeless," he sighed. "Anita seems to live well. Maybe we should talk to her husband?" "Oh, don't worry. I'll explain to him tomorrow." Uh-huh? Again? Mark smiled confidently. "Leave it to me." Trusting Mark, I didn't say anything further. The next day, Anita and her husband Eric came to her house. "I'm deeply sorry for my wife's behavior. I've also troubled the division manager, and I apologize." And that's why, if you overlook it, it's all good. You don't seem to have any remorse. Surprisingly, Anita's husband turned out to be a subordinate in Mark's company. Though he held a position, as Anita said, Mark was a division manager, a rank above him. The division managers rotate every few years, and by chance, Mark became Anita's husband's superior after a transfer. Once Mark learned that Anita's husband was a subordinate, he tried to make contact at work. Consequently, this whole incident came to light. Anita had been falsely claiming that the accident was my fault. She said she was just a passenger in my car and demanded leniency for that. When Eric learned the truth, he was furious and immediately brought her to apologize to us. "We'll definitely compensate for the car. I'm terribly sorry for the trouble caused. I'm not angry at you. It's Anita who needs to apologize." Anita, lost for words, suddenly became defensive and started shouting. "I didn't know Helen's husband was a division manager. You've only recently moved here, right? Don't tell me you're lying." "Hey, Anita." "Besides, with a minivan like that, Helen must be rich. A little generosity wouldn't hurt, right?" I immediately interjected. "That car isn't mine." "What?" "That car is provided by our company. It's not ours. It's a special vehicle for the company." "What do you mean? Then our family too?" "It's a part of a special study at my company, unrelated to his department. It's a company's car, not ours, so a settlement is out of question. Since you have no intention of compensating, we're thinking of suing through the company." "What?" Her face turned pale, realizing what that meant. Mark then confronted her. "What you did is unmistakably theft. You sneaked into our home, stole the keys, and used the car without permission, even damaging it. That's beyond common sense. We'll discuss this with the superiors and consider the consequences. Wait, what's going to happen to me? Anita clung to Eric, but he, fed up with the whole situation, pushed her away. Anita, I can't deal with this anymore. We'll discuss our future at home. What do you mean, our future? Division manager, Mrs. Miller, I'm truly sorry. We'll compensate for the company car. All right, we'll discuss it at the office later. Eric, dragging and loudly protesting Anita, apologized multiple times as they left. The neighbors, surprised by the commotion, came out and whispered among themselves. Mark, with a wry smile, shared more details. Eric, an excellent subordinate, often expressed his home troubles at company drinks. When I mentioned his name, Mark realized Eric was married to Anita and had been looking for a way to help. Reluctantly, Mark said this incident might change their relationship. Indeed, the company billed Anita for the extensive repair costs, which she ultimately agreed to pay. Eric decided to divorce Anita after this incident. Despite Anita's pleas, he contacted her parents, explained everything, and they took her back home. Anita's parents are quite serious people. They initially covered the repair costs, and Anita is now working to pay them back. Eric, who was not at fault, was not dismissed from his job and continues to work diligently under Mark. As for me, my relationship with the other mom friends has grown closer since the incident with Anita. It must have been tough, they sympathized, saying. Those who had misunderstood also apologized. Sorry about that. They now understand that all the rumors Anita had spread were lies. Mom, I'm leaving. Okay, have a good day. Relieved by the return of peaceful days, I'm determined to continue supporting my family as a housewife.